Welcome to Clean With Me podcast. I'm Jessica.
And I'm Ronnie.
This is a podcast where we literally walk you through cleaning your house step by step. So let's clean together.
Thanks for joining me. It's time to get off the couch or the bed and get your kitchen clean. I know you don't feel like it. Maybe try something like putting some shoes on to kind of get you going. There's something about having shoes on that makes you feel ready and prepared for the day, especially if your kitchen floor is a little messy right now. There's just something disheartening about walking around in the kitchen and feeling crumbs under your feet. We're going to take care of those crumbs, but since sweeping is for last, it's going to feel better if you have shoes on. Trust me on this. Okay? Once you get your shoes on, you need to do whatever it takes to feel a little bit presentable. I'm not talking about getting all fixed up, but if you've got bedhead, maybe put your hair in a ponytail or grab a spray bottle and run a brush through it. On most days, I wear my hair down, but I use like a leave-in conditioner to kind of spray any areas that are messed up and then brush it. By the way, while you're freshening up, I'll just say this. Sometimes you need to change things up. Like if you always take a shower in the morning and then that keeps you from getting ready. Like let's say that you are a stay-at-home mom or you're a remote worker. Sometimes you can put off taking a shower and then that causes you to put off starting your day. I like to shower in the evenings a lot of the time. I don't do it every time, but sometimes I do it in the morning, but I like to shower in the evenings because then it's super fast to get ready. Just a spray bottle is my friend. Another thing that I do to get ready quickly in the mornings with very little effort is using either a makeup removing wipe or even a baby wipe to wash my face if I didn't, remove my makeup the night before or whatever. If you remove your makeup the night before, you could literally just splash some water on your face. But yeah, my lazy way of getting ready after having showered the night before is just to get up, get dressed, grab a spray bottle to fix my hair, and then, of course, brush my teeth and put on my makeup. Whether I use a wipe or just splash some water on my face to wash it. But maybe consider changing up your routine if you're procrastinating on your shower or your bath, whatever you do in the mornings. If you're procrastinating on that, maybe you could do it at night and then kind of do the spray bottle method for doing your hair. Just a thought. Hopefully by now you're up and moving. It's time to gather any dishes or cups from around the house. Okay, typically we've got a cup on each nightstand and a cup on my desk in our bedroom. And then sometimes there'll be maybe a bowl or a cup on the coffee table. It's not allowed, but people forget to clear their stuff. People get distracted. So I gather everything up and get it to the kitchen. Now, I know I usually tell you to start with an empty, reload, and run. However, that's not always the best approach, especially when you're tired, you're unmotivated, and your kitchen's kind of messy. What we're going to do first in the kitchen is deal with those dirty pots and pans first, okay? Because here's what happens. When you go in and you either empty, reload, and run the dishwasher, or if you're hand washing, you empty your drying rack and you start washing your dishes, of course, starting with the glasses and silverware. If you're hand washing, you start with the glasses and silverware and save the pots and pans for last. And then if you are doing an empty reload and run of the dishwasher, you get everything into the dishwasher and then the pots and pans don't fit and then you're left with those. Here's the problem. They need a little bit of time to soak. So sometimes when we save them for last, we'll pre-rinse them, we'll fill them up with hot water and dish soap, and we'll just tell ourselves that we're going to go back to those later. And that works, but if you have a tendency not to go back to them, then maybe it's time to change up your routine. Okay. So, another problem with saving the worst for last, so to speak, washing all the easy stuff before you even touch those pots and pans, is that you feel like you're working in a messy kitchen and you feel like you're dreading the point where you do all the easy stuff and then now you've got to tackle these pots and pans with dried on food or baked on food. And good for you if you're not in a situation where you have those pans. Obviously, the ideal is to wash them right after dinner. I've talked about this a lot. Transfer things into a serving dish that you're going to store the leftovers in. Wash things while the food's still hot. It's easier, but no judgment here if you're facing a disaster that involves some dirty pans. Yesterday, I went into my kitchen and it was fairly clean, but unfortunately, the pot and 2 pans had been left out overnight. Usually my husband cleans after he cooks dinner, or I go in there and clean. We drop the ball somehow. It happens. Don't come at me talking about how I've got to do all my dishes before bed. I know that we do that, but we're human, okay? It was kind of disheartening to walk in and see those pots and pans. It was like I say pots, it's a saucepan, a medium pan, and a larger skillet. And I wanted to take care of them right away. So even though I usually do the empty reload and run first, the kitchen was fairly clean and it was those pans that were bothering me. So I went ahead and pre-rinsed them, filled them up with hot soapy water, set them down to soak. Then I went ahead and emptied and reloaded the dishwasher. It was kind of one of those things where I was grasping at straws to get enough stuff for a full load, but somehow I came up with enough stuff to where I decided it was okay to run it. I do believe it's okay to run your dishwasher at 50% full, 75% full, if whatever works for you, okay? But I had those soaking and then I started cleaning surfaces. So what I'm going to have you do is if you have any pots and pans with dried on or baked on food or just dirty pots and pans, we're going to start by pre-rinsing those and getting them soaking right away before you do much work at all in your kitchen. Let's get those soaking, okay? Because we tell ourselves they need to soak for a super long time, but really in the time that you clean your kitchen, you can go back and clean those. It gives you an instant feeling of satisfaction. It's kind of like if you're old like me, back in the day, like our parents would have us eat our vegetables first. Obviously, in today's culture, we have different ideas about food and just presenting our kids with options and, trusting them, I guess, to do the right thing in some ways. But back in the day, if you know, you know, okay? Back in the day, or, maybe your boomer mom tries to do this with your kids. They would get us to eat the vegetables first, and it was like a rule. And you get that over with, and then you get to enjoy your meal. And I'm not saying that's the best way to feed kids, but there is something to be said for getting things out of the way that are undesirable. It's kind of like, once you clean your house, you can go do something fun. That whole thing. There is a feeling of accomplishment in at least getting those pans soaking so that they don't feel so daunting. You don't worry about them as much. And let's face it, you might run out of steam, okay, at the end of the session and not go back, okay? So that's why you want those soaking, and then it's time to do your other dishes. Now, before you start doing dishes or whatever, just a little reminder, a little tip, make sure that you close all of your cabinets and all of your drawers all the way. Because some of you are probably finding a little bit of sediment in your drawers, and it's because when they're not closed all the way and you wipe your counters, it can get crumbs into those drawers, and then you're creating additional work. Obviously, we need to vacuum out or wipe out our drawers from time to time, but let's not make it to where it has to be done all the time. And just closing your cabinets is going to make your kitchen look nicer, and it's going to set the stage for wiping those down as well. So they've got to be closed for you to start, spraying. So anyway, make sure everything's closed. Wash your other dishes, your easy stuff, if you will. Okay. And I talked about soaking pots and pans, but you might have something else that needs to soak that's not a pot or a pan. It could be like top ramen just dried on a bowl or cereal dried on a bowl. That might need to be soaking with your pots and pans. Okay. But let's wash all the easy stuff. That could be an empty reload and run of the dishwasher, or you might be hand washing. We're going to take just a few minutes because it doesn't take that long to wash the easy stuff. So over the next few minutes, I want you to work on that. And then we're going to get to the business of wiping down surfaces in the kitchen, okay? But we're not going to leave the kitchen without washing those pots and pans. Now, this doesn't apply to everybody, but some of us can get into a cycle of perpetually having something soaking on the counter. I'm not saying you can never leave something to soak. I mean, sometimes a crock pot just really needs to soak, but the way you prevent that is you use a crock pot liner, okay? But some of us, do end up having like a cycle of perpetually soaking, and it feels like your kitchen's never really clean. And when you're not super happy with your kitchen, you're not going to do as many what we call bonus tasks. You're not going to be just shining up your refrigerator or wiping down your cabinets on a regular basis if you feel behind because you see this dirty pan soaking every time you walk into your kitchen. No judgment here at all. I'm just trying to get you to break that cycle because I know you want to break that cycle. And you might be feeling tired right now. Pamper yourself while you're cleaning. Drink a little bit of water. Have your tumbler nearby with your ice water. Take a sip, take a deep breath, and relax. You want cleaning the kitchen to become more enjoyable. One of the ways that I do that is I like to buy products where I love the way they smell. Okay. Just be working on your dishes while I talk about this. And of course, if you're done with your dishes, just start working on cleaning surfaces in your kitchen from the top down. But I tried the Dawn Power Wash. This is not sponsored at all. The Dawn Power Wash, I tried it, but I showed my husband that I'd been using it or whatever. And I said, what do you think about this? I said, I've noticed that it said it cleans, it's 5 times stronger or something. But then this other thing of Dawn that I have says that it's 4 times stronger. So how much of a difference is there between these products? Don't be offended if you like the Power Wash. That's fine. I know some of you do. I'm pretty sure Jessica likes it, my daughter, who's the co-host on this show. But I'm just telling you about my experience with it. I could not tell the difference. I didn't feel like it was powerful. Obviously, if we're going from 4 times to 5 times, there might not be a huge difference there. I could not tell the difference. And what my husband said made perfect sense. He goes, we've had that other bottle for months, and it was like kind of a large one. Like it was one that we bought in bulk. And our dish soap tends to last a while anyway because we're putting most things through the dishwasher. But we had just this giant bottle of the liquid Dawn. And then we had the little Power Wash. And he's like, we've had that one for months. And how long have we had this one? A couple weeks. And it's like 3/4 of the way gone. He's like, there's your answer. And I agreed with him. And I don't plan to keep getting it. But if it's fun for you to use that spray or you feel like it's doing better on your dishes or whatever, by all means, keep getting it. Maybe it has to do with the hard water. Our water is so hard and it's real mineral rich. And so some products don't work as well for us as they do for other people. But what I'm getting at is it had like an apple scent. In general, I don't buy apple scented candles or whatever, but I liked the apple. Like apple is not my favorite scent, but I liked the smell of the apple scented Dawn Power Wash. So I told him, I said, well, when I do get more Dawn liquid, I think I'm going to look for a scented one. I'm hoping there's a scent that I like instead of just the regular one. Um, when I use my spray, the spray that I use to wipe down the counters and stuff, I get something that's a lemon verbena scent. I absolutely love citrusy smells, orange, lemon, love that stuff. And so it's a nice experience when you are washing dishes with a dish soap that's scented and you like the smell. I think it can make a huge difference because literally the only thing I liked about that spray was the scent. So just a thought there, but definitely use whichever products. Don't be too frugal in that area. I am super frugal, okay? Like I don't even use the laundry pods because I don't really get it. I have a large liquid laundry soap and it's on the shelf above my washing machine. So literally when I open my washing machine and I'm kind of pushing the button to serve out some laundry detergent, if I were to drip any, it would drip right into the washing machine. If my hands got a little on it, I'd wipe them on an article of clothing that's going into that wash load anyway. My point is, I don't really buy like every convenience, like laundry pods. No judgment if you like those, because it's not something that I care about. So it's an area that I'm more frugal in. But when it comes to like doing dishes, it's almost like money's no object. I mean, I'm buying disposable plates and bowls, and I'm willing to buy whatever dish soap I love the most. Okay, because it's just not my favorite chore, and I don't mind washing clothes, and I don't really care that much about that process. Folding and putting away is another story, but that's beyond the scope of this show. This is about your kitchen. Hopefully, by now, you've gotten those easy dishes done. It's not time to go back to the stuff that's soaking because you want to give that dish soap time to do its work. We're going to wait a little bit longer, okay? Let's start cleaning those surfaces. If it's been a while since you've wiped down your cabinets, start with those top cabinets so that you're cleaning from the top down. Although that mainly only applies if you're literally cleaning the very top of your cabinets, because if you're just wiping down the fronts of your cabinets, I just don't think your cabinets are dirty enough that anything's really going to drop onto your countertop. But the reason I say clean from the top down is in case you're literally cleaning the top of your cabinets where dust can accumulate. Get those wiped down and then wipe down your countertops, your sink, your stove top. And this is kind of the fun part. Maybe you need to clear some clutter first. I didn't mention that, but maybe there are some seasonings out or some trash on the countertops. Let's clear everything off and put it away. But once your dishes are done, other than a few things soaking maybe, and you have put away any clutter that's on your countertops, that's kind of an enjoyable part of cleaning the kitchen because that's when you get to spray something that you really like, take in that scent, and just shine everything up. You've got to let yourself, it's kind of like, when Snow White, the whole whistle while you work, you do need to enjoy the process of cleaning a little bit more. And it's your job to make it enjoyable for yourself. And only you know how you do that. You can do that. You know what products you like using. The Mary Poppins, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. In every job that must be done, there is an element of fun. Okay, so you've got to find that element of fun. And some of you are too young to even get these references, but you've got to find that element of fun. And for me, the element of fun is once the dishes are done and the surfaces are cleared, shining up my countertop, stovetop, sink, appliances, wiping down cabinets is fun, especially when I like the smell of the products I'm using. Okay. So hopefully you are working on that. For my glass cooktop lately, I sprinkle Barkeeper's Friend. I scrub it with like a Scrub Daddy sponge, just something abrasive, or Scotch Brite, whatever you use, something kind of abrasive. I scrub it with that, and then I finish off with a glass cleaner or a glass and surface cleaner to kind of do a finishing touch and shine that up. I've also used an orange scented spray on my cabinets in the past. I'm just throwing that out there. Right now, I'm just using that same lemon verbena product that I'm using everywhere else, as far as the countertops. Um, the barkeeper's friend is also good in the sink, or really, you can clean your sink with almost anything. It's just as long as you're using a product and scrubbing out your sink. Don't get so used to having dishes in your sink that you're not cleaning the sink itself. You want to make sure that you are shining your sink and you're cleaning the faucet and the area behind the sink. Let's get that all polished up. And this step is pretty quick. And I don't mention this every time, but when you're wiping down your countertops, that's a good time to wipe down your table. And if you have kids, you're going to be wiping your chairs more often. If you have small children, you're going to be wiping your chairs more often than those of us who either have older kids or who don't have kids. With little kids, you're going to be wiping down the chairs more often. You're going to have a high chair to clean. Okay. And those things happen along with wiping down your countertops. Okay. I just don't always mention it. I mean, I've got bar stools. I'm not wiping those down very often. Like, I'm just not, because my kids aren't that messy. But if they were little, I would be. Okay. Now, your bonus task, should you choose to accept it, if you're just on a roll right now and you have a lot of energy, wipe the wall between your countertop and the cabinets. Scrub that wall. Okay. It'll only take a few minutes. Use your favorite spray and scrub that wall. And then lastly, when you're done with that, it's time to deal with those pans that you have soaking. If you're used to leaving things to soak for super long, you might be pleasantly surprised that they are ready to wash and that it's going to be easy to wash them. Of course, there are exceptions. I've talked about this before, but if you have just a terrible burnt-on mess, dropping a dishwasher pod into something and letting it soak for at least an hour works wonders. Okay, you can boil something on the stove with salt water. Okay, there are a lot of things you can do for those really bad messes, but sometimes it's just kind of a medium mess that we're dealing with. It's just dried on food residue in a pan, and those few minutes of soaking is really all you need in most cases. So dump out that water that was in there, put some fresh dish soap in, grab your scrub brush. I like to use just a scrub brush on a handle. I know Jessica likes to use the type of like the sponge that's on a handle that's the handle is a soap dispenser. You can also use that, but I mainly use one that's just a brush, and I will scrub the pan with that, and then I'll grab a soft sponge like the Scrub Daddy, or that has I guess it's a Scrub Mommy that has the soft side or whatever, or a Scotch Brite or whatever sponge. I'll do something soft, or a cloth, a dish rag. Okay, so I'll use the brush to get off any chunks, and then I'll get something soft like a cloth to remove grease. I mean, you know how to wash a pan, but we're going to wash every single pan. And if you had more than 3 pans, you probably need to be doing your dishes more often. And this is no judgment at all, but I just don't want you to do this to yourself where you're creating too much work. Like I mentioned, one night's dinner mess consisted of a saucepan, like a 12-inch skillet, and then a large skillet. Okay. And then, of course, there were spatulas and whatnot, but things like that we usually kind of lay in the top rack of the dishwasher after pre-rinsing those. But if you have a lot more pans than that, and it's not like, Thanksgiving or something, maybe think about making simpler meals. Okay. I mean, there's something to be said for a one-pot meal or a sheet pan dinner. Okay. A sheet pan dinner is where I take my large cookie sheet. I mean, it's a huge cookie sheet that it fits in my oven, but it takes up almost the whole shelf in the oven. Sometimes I'll grease that. I'll chop up like some Polish sausage, some Polska kielbasa, some onions, some potatoes, kind of spray some oil on that and season it, pop that in the oven, and then you've just got that one thing to clean. Okay. So, if you're struggling with lots of pots and pans piling up, maybe either wash them right after the meal or consider simplifying your meals. There was definitely a time when I was younger where I loved cooking, but not cleaning up after, and those two need to go hand in hand. Okay. There's a reason why people who don't cook a lot of times have clean kitchens, but those of us who do cook need to clean as we go. We need to simplify our meals if we don't like doing that much cleaning, because I absolutely don't want to give up cooking, but during super busy times, I simplify my meals so that, yes, I'm still cooking dinner, because I feel like my husband's love language is like acts of service. If you've ever like looked into the different love languages, there's a book on it, and there's, you can also just Google it. But he, I think, feels more cared for if I make dinner than if I just order a pizza. But that's true even if I make something that's kind of a simple meal and I don't dirty much up in the process. And before you come at me about gender roles or whatever, he cooks about half the time, which I'm not saying that is mandatory at all. When I was home and he was working, I cooked about 5 to 6 nights a week, and he cooked like once. Right now, even though I'm a remote worker, we both work and we just alternate on cooking. Although last night it was my night to cook, and I announced it was a fend for yourself night. You can do that with older kids. There were leftovers to be had, and I myself had a bowl of cereal. It's okay to do that once a week. Just throwing that out there. That'll also give you time to catch up. And back when I was in that stage where I liked to dirty up a lot of pots and pans and then didn't want to clean it, one of my survival techniques, the next day when I was struggling to clean up that leftover mess or whatever, I would order a pizza, because I would tell myself, you need time to catch up. You need to get the kitchen under control. You need to get it clean before cooking something else. So hopefully some of this helped you. If you didn't feel like cleaning your kitchen, hopefully you've gotten those pots and pans clean. You've shined your surfaces. And remember when I talked about at the beginning that you needed shoes on? Now it's time to sweep or vacuum your kitchen floor. And if you have the energy after that, mop it. Put on your favorite songs or listen to another podcast and get that done. Special thanks to my financial supporters who either support Jessica or myself on Patreon or clicked start trial and subscribe to bonus content on Apple. However, just listening to the show helps me. So I don't expect anyone to support the show financially, but it does give you access to bonus episodes, and Jessica and I greatly appreciate it when you do. But let's talk about some ways that you can help us without spending a dime. You can click follow on whichever podcast app you listen on, including Apple Podcasts. You can give us a 5-star rating and review. That helps us tremendously. You can share our posts on Facebook. You can click on the heart or make a comment on TikTok. Whatever you do to engage with our content helps us get our message out there and gain new listeners. And we're definitely not rich, and we could definitely use the help. Positive comments, hearts, likes, follows. It all helps us. But most of all, just keep listening. I appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, happy cleaning.